The USA beat the Netherlands 2-0 on Sunday to win a record fourth FIFA Women's World Cup. Star striker and the tournament top scorer Megan Rapinoe opened the scoring from the penalty spot, with Rose Lavelle adding the second. Now, speaking ahead of the team's flight back to New York, the 34-year-old Rapinoe admitted she was eager to return to home soil and celebrate.
Yes, of course. I mean, we've been keeping track, of course, of what's been going on back home, but you never really have the feel for it unless you're right in the middle of it. So we're about to touch down right in the middle of it. We can't wait. I mean, France has been amazing. We love France. Thank you for everything, but we can't wait to get home. We've been here for so long, been on the road for so long. We're thrilled to be heading back to New York.
That's Megan Rapinoe. Meanwhile, in New York, there was an outpouring of pride from the team's fans.
There are not many things to be proud of right now in America, especially when you're a woman and it feels like the world is kind of against you, but it felt like it was so much bigger than it was, you know?
Incredible. The women's team, they're like superheroes to me. I cried like every single goal. They're awesome, yeah. It's so empowering. It's absolute magic to see them up there.
Yeah, I've watched every game. I mean, Rose Lavelle's goal was amazing. Anytime Megan Rapinoe takes the field is amazing. They just also how much they love each other. I don't know. It's so good to see a group of women supporting each other and lifting each other up. It makes it all the better.
The U.S. women's national team so much better and more universally known and appreciated at home than the U.S. men's national team. And that's why even there, if only there, equal pay is a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. Joining us on set to discuss Sunday's match is football analyst Joelle Lee. Welcome to the SportsMax Zone, Joelle.
Afternoon. Thank you for having me.
There you go. Before we talk about the final itself, I want you to go back to Jamaica's participation in France, those 3 games they played. The historic nature of their qualification, for some people, was enough. They weren't looking for more than that, but others, had the idea that, well, if they can qualify for the World Cup, they can go to the World Cup and make waves. Others, more realistic, were saying, well, no, the level is going to take some getting used to that level. So the Jamaicans went. How do you think they performed in those 3 games?
I think that they did exactly what I would have wanted and hoped for them to do. Go out there, gain the experience of becoming a qualified World Cup team. Mm-hmm. They just started rebuilding Jamaican football for women's, and being the youngest team to go into the World Cup, I think they did very well, even getting a goal, mm-hmm. which a lot of people just thought they would have walked in and been getting goals. I thought they had opportunities, but to get a goal was amazing for them.
Well, my favorite is Khadija Banisho. You like her?
Khadija is good.
Yeah.
Best dribbler on our team.
Yeah. What for you was the hard lessons that you think majority of the girls would have taken from France, the Jamaican Reggae Girlz?
I think it's more of you going into the World Cup. They had a lot of good games, some hard games, some tough games in their preseason for the World Cup, and they won a lot of them. So they probably went in too much of a high and expected too much when they went in and got a real shock. Mm-hmm. I do know the first game we played Brazil, and the midfield dribbled a little bit too much. I think they held the ball a little bit too much. They should have passed it around more. Mm-hmm. These teams are not going to give you that time to dribble. So that was a mistake, but they thought it would have happened because that's what they did in all of their preseason games. Yeah.
So you think that the Brazil game was like a shock for most of them, really realizing what the top level had to offer?
I think so. I mean, going in, they would know that the level is, playing Brazil, they would know that they're expecting a tough game. But I think they underestimated or overestimated their abilities. Mm-hmm. And to play against a team like Brazil, the best way to play them is to pass the ball around. Mm-hmm. That's the way you're going to beat them. If you hold the ball, they're going to get you. Yeah. Nobody's giving you the time to walk through their field.
Improvement in football, though, Joelle, isn't linear. So it's not as if you play one game and you see the level that is required, you see what is required, then obviously then the next game you're going to play better because you were exposed to what's required from the first game. It's not like that. It doesn't work like that. So what do you think needs to happen for Jamaica to close the class and the quality gap between themselves and the top nations in the world?
Well, right now they need to continue what they're doing. Female football in Jamaica is getting more prevalent. We have the women's league down here as well. The school leagues are starting. So I think they just need to give it some time. The team, as young as they are, I think if they stay together and they keep working at it, they have a very great shot next year to qualify to the next round. I won't keep hopes extremely high because we have to be realistic with the ball is round, anything can happen. But I'm pretty sure if they stick together and they continue working, few changes here and there, different tactics, they have a great shot.
What can they take from this World Cup moving forward?
Great learning experience. For me, a lot of this is about a learning experience. It's the first time you're qualifying. It obviously was a very proud moment for all of us as Jamaicans. And it's just to learn from what is going on, to learn from the mistakes that were made, the dribbling too much, holding on a ball, get some different tactics. But overall, I think they should just be proud of themselves that they went there and they represented us very well. I don't think anybody should have anything bad to say about their representation.
Would you say Jamaica's football is in good hands?
It's getting there.
Yeah?
It's getting there. We're on a positive start.
Team USA, for many people, from the 13-0 over Thailand, they announced themselves at the World Cup in the usual US style, brash and loud, and yeah, we're in the building and we've come to plunder your castle and leave with your resources. For many of us, from game one, they looked like the likely winners of the tournament. Give me your assessment of how Rapinoe and company did over the weeks in France.
Being the previous title holders, they were clearly going to be favourites coming in. The 13-0 was a very big overkill in my, but it's World Cup, biggest stage, so go for it. They're ruthless, and I think everybody's assessment was right. The England game, so the semis that they played with the England game, I think that was their real, a more test for them than most. VAR jumped in and disqualified a goal, which created some issues.
Right.
And some other things. I think overall the USA women's team, they've had it packed. They play together, they know each other, they have that sisterhood, and that says a lot as well when you have that kind of bond with your teammates. So if somebody's having an off day, somebody else steps up, and those are important things to have in your team.
And most importantly, they know how to win. They've won already.
They know how to win.
What is your take on Alex Morgan and Megan Rapinoe? Megan Rapinoe obviously is one of the oldest players to score, and she has been dominating. She's been the talk of the entire World Cup.
Yes, what they have done for women's football in general, not even just American, but for women's football in general, is something you don't get to see. We're talking like, not to compare them, but almost in comparison like what Messi is doing and Cristiano Ronaldo are doing to the younger generation. So now the younger generation have these people to look up to and say, all right, they can do it, so can we. And luckily we also have Khadija Shaw, who a lot of younger girls are now looking up and saying, we can be like Khadija Shaw. So I like what they've done for female football, women's football overall.
Megan is calling for equal pay, just like the men.
I think they deserve it.
Yeah?
They more than deserve it. They're better than their men's team.
Yeah. So, you're saying the Americans deserve it?
Yeah. But equality overall, it needs to be, the gap definitely needs to shorten. Yeah. The gap is too large.
Yeah. You mentioned that England gave the US a better test than the Dutch certainly did in the final on Sunday.
No, that was a game.
Which one?
The Dutch game.
Yeah.
But going up to the final, the England game was more of a test to them
than the others.
Oh, so straighten it out for me. You're not saying England played the US better than the Dutch did?
No, the Dutch held them for 60 minutes without any problems at all. And they faltered when the VAR overturned a corner call and gave them a penalty. For looking back on it, it was a foul and the defender completely missed that ball. But the Dutch was holding them straight. They were being outplayed, but not outplayed enough to get goals, and that was important. So I think after that penalty decision, the Dutch moral fell a little bit. Yes. And that was just the end of the game, mentally for them. They fought really hard, but.
What do you think, Joelle, this World Cup in time will prove to have done for, I don't want to say the women's game because that's continuing the compartmentalization and the division, but I have to say the women's game. I have to say the women's game. Do you think, when everybody's talking about the Women's World Cup, because it's now, it ended on Sunday, so it's still fresh in our memories, but do you think a month from now, the feeling about women's football and this positivity will have pervaded up to that point, or we'll forget about it and get stuck into the club fear that the men are playing in England, in Spain, in Italy, elsewhere?
Oh, for sure, it'll be forgotten about.
You feel?
For sure. They'll forget about it. And it's not to say that they won't be thinking about it, it just won't be present on your mind.
Won't be foremost in your mind, yeah.
It just won't be there.
Yeah.
When it starts coming around again, they'll remember it. If they start showing more female teams, women's teams, like leagues, Manchester United has women's teams, Chelsea has women's team, but we don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
No.
We know they play,
Yeah.
but we don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
No highlights, nothing. We don't see it.
It's true,
So
it's true.
there's nothing to keep women's football prevalent in anybody's mind.
Yeah. But look at the superstars. You mentioned Messi and Ronaldo and the effect that this tournament
They've had
can have with the women equivalents, then, if you can call them that, and motivating and inspiring the next generation of girls. But there are some big names in women's football right now. The biggest name, of course, the Ballon d'Or winner, Ada Hegerberg from Norway. She boycotted the World Cup over not just pay issue, but the way football was being administered for women in Norway. She wasn't a part of their team. Should have made them maybe 30%, 40% stronger. She plays for Olympique Lyon in Europe, the Champions League winner, an awesome team if you get to watch them. Rapinoe has been around for a while. Alex Morgan has been around for a while. Lucy Bronze, the best right back in world football, arguably. She plays for England. And so many others. The French girls, the Jamaica
Brazil
now has a hero.
Christian.
Brazil has had Marta for so long, the only woman present at the Ballon d'Or ceremony. So I say all of that to ask if there are enough heroes to inspire the next generation of women, and if the standing of those heroes and the resonance can sustain outside of a World Cup period when all the attention is on women's football.
Well, when outside of women's World Cup women's football, Alex Morgan is a name you generally hear. Rapinoe is a name you generally hear. So they are out there and they're making their statement. We just need the new set to come up now and make that statement so it can continue. Because I like where it's going. And as long as it can continue, it's sustainable.
Yeah.
We're having World Cups, so we know it's going to happen. I think every country, there will be a one standout player, and that will now be that person for the girls in the country.
But question for you, within your social media group and your interaction with your peers, in the way that I'm sure you, as a girl, you tweet, you Instagram about Messi's exploits, Ronaldo's exploits, Hazard if you're a fan of Eden, Paul Pogba, whomever it is, the men at club level. Do your peers, the females, talk about the women during the club season, or is there no mention of the women at all?
No mention.
That's the problem.
No mention
That's
at
the
all.
problem. That's the problem I'm seeing, Joelle.
It is a problem.
We need more people to support, to watch.
But
to
how
simply
can
watch.
it grow? How can it grow if you're only excited about women's football at the World Cup stage?
But
That's the problem.
that is not necessarily just a pair problem, because when you look on the official Instagram accounts or Twitter accounts for any of these clubs, you don't normally hear what the women are doing.
Except Manchester United, and I can testify because I'm a fan.
They will
and
tweet
they
it
push that,
occasionally,
yeah.
they push it.
But you're right.
But
you're
you
right.
don't really hear it. So if you're not hearing it from the clubs that they play for,
Who else will
why
tell
are we
us?
going to talk about it? Because we really don't know. They don't broadcast the games. They don't live tweet about the games. Some of them, they don't stream the games. They don't do anything. So we're never really going to know what is out there for women's football. And until that changes, whether it's just to have an Instagram account for the women's team and just send them out, and so people are more aware, it won't change with anybody else. There's no talking point.
Yeah.
Yeah, the club has to do it themselves, basically.
But you know, we did an interesting experiment. Well, not an experiment, an exercise. Recall what Macaroni did for us. Daniel Adams, one of our assistants. He, in preparing a World Cup profile on the teams in Jamaica's group, he went on their Instagram pages. He curated some data and looking at the Instagram followers they had and their exposure and the activity and last post and everything. Even the girls themselves weren't very active. There were people who had, maybe a couple thousand followers
The
here and there.
stars had a lot, but just the players that we probably won't know about, they weren't pushing themselves.
But even,
on social
even
media.
the lot that you say is relative. So I'm just saying that the girls themselves who play these games, the girls who play at Roma, who play at Benfica, who play at Juventus, whoever, they themselves are not getting a lot of attraction and traction within the social media community.
Maybe
That's
we
a
need
problem.
to get into that social media managers.
That's a problem.
I mean, I'm not one to be on social media often, so I get it.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to play their part. So we need to start asking the questions. We know you have a women's team. Where are they? What are they doing? We can ask the questions that will force them to start making sure that they're no more prominent on the Instagram or Twitter pages or anything. And the girls need to push themselves as well.
Yeah.
There
I
you
think
go.
it's an overall thing.
Yeah.